that thing have any volts in it?
So I had to drive the BMW last night, just a little bit, right in front of the house right here. I'm not gonna lie, it made me miss that car quite a bit, bro. Now I actually have the itch to mess with the BMW. Yeah. Anyhow, carrying on with the hatch and moving on down the list that we have here. As far as intake, I'll discuss this with you guys a little bit later in the video. And the wideband, bro, that's what I'm gonna start today off with, is we are gonna be installing this AEM wideband. I'm a little bit salty about the fact that my cousin came over here and he ripped my box. Look at that. Would you look at that? Freaking ripped, bro. He was over here messing with it. He's like, come on, bro, let's just freaking throw it in. Let's install it. I'm like, yo, chill, man. I have to do an unboxing and I have to install it on video. Calm yourself. Life of a YouTuber, bro. It's like you packages you get, you can't open them until you're recording. You can't just install stuff. You gotta record it, you know what I'm saying? But now, let's give this thing a proper unboxing. And there it is, that's everything inside of our package. You obviously have the gauge, wiring, sensor, and this is a welded bung, dude. That's pretty cool. They actually send you a little bung in case you need to weld one in. And then some little wire connectors and stuff, instruction manual, and a sticker. What's up, bro? Gotta add it to my collection. So I haven't ever installed one of these before, but it should be pretty simple. Just looking at it, I see we have a sensor. We gotta screw this into the header. And then it has a harness that this plugs into the sensor. And then on the other side, you run your wiring to your gauge, plugs into the back of the gauge. And then I'd imagine that this is where we will supply power. It looks like it has quite a bit of wires here, so we are more than likely going to be just using a positive and a ground. I think all the other wires are for if you actually have an AEM ECU, so you can wire this into your ECU. I'm guessing. I'm going to actually go through this instruction manual really quick and make sure that I have a proper understanding of what I'm doing here. And if I have to, I'll go look up some videos or something, dude, and then get back with you. Alright, so far what I can tell, it's exactly what it is I thought. We're going to use the red and the black wire from this. That's just the positive and the ground, which is going to supply power to our gauge. And then it also will supply the power that it needs to the sensor itself. So to start off this damn installation, bro, I need somewhere to mount it. You know what I'm saying? And looking inside of the car, I used to have a wideband in this car before, and it was right here. And you might be asking why it is that I got a new one. My dogs chewed up my old one. True story. So previously it was mounted on this side over the vent that goes right here. At the moment, this is going to be the easiest place for me to run it, and honestly I kind of liked it being over here. So I was going through all my things and I found a little vent that goes over there. Now I am going to tear this thing apart, but don't worry, it is broken. It does look really clean, but it's broken. It's missing all the little stuff on the inside. So this is the piece that pops in right here. I'm not going to pop it in all the way because I don't want to have problems getting it back out. But anyhow, what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and take all this stuff out of here and try to make a piece of aluminum that will just kind of screw or glue into this. I don't know, something. So I broke all the vents out of this thing, and now what I'm doing is I left the very top one and the very bottom one. So I'm going to put this tape over the face of this, and I'm going to try to roughly kind of trace out that inside diameter of this whole vent, and then try to basically cut that out of aluminum. And I left the top and the bottom here so that piece of aluminum will have something to sit on in there. Once I get that piece made, then I'll try to figure out the best way to actually mount it to where it's not going to fall out. So as you can see, that's a very rough outline. Nothing is straight. It's real kind of jittery lines. You know what I'm saying? I probably had one too many energy drinks this morning. So what I'm going to do is kind of clean it up a little bit with my straight edge. Now remember, we are going to kind of oversize this a little bit because we can come back whenever we cut this out, and I'm going to use my sander and kind of shape it until it actually fits in here correctly. There's our piece all cut out, and as you can see, like I mentioned, it is oversized, so I know it's not gonna fit in there right now. So I've got 80 grit sandpaper on my sander, and what I'm gonna do is just go through and just slowly kind of sand the edges down. Not only will it straighten them up, we can use this to round the corners because this has more of a rounded corner to it than it does a point like what we have cut here. And this will also bring the size of it down slowly, and I'll keep test fitting it until the thing fits in there perfect. All right, so there's our finished piece, dude. I think this came out pretty sick, man. Look, it fits in here nice and flush. It's got a nice clean look to it. There's a little bit of a gap up there, but it's all right. But I also have all these holes drilled out. Flip the gauge over right here, and then you just slide this guy over, and bam, dude, you got your two mounting studs sticking out. And then I drilled the holes for where the actual harnesses have to plug in. So yeah, that's it, bro. Now basically what I'm gonna do to mount it in here, what I'm thinking is this little piece that they sent with it, what I'm thinking about doing is putting this piece on the inside in here. You see, that doesn't get in the way of any of the harnesses or anything, so we'd still be able to use our plugs. But what I think I'm gonna do is with that piece on, now I can put a screw through the sides on both sides to actually hold this piece in there. So then this piece will be solid, and then we just slide the plate and the gauge over, and I can put these two little nuts on it that came with the gauge. So then whenever if we ever need to take this off, the plate will just come off with it, and basically what you'll be left with is this piece sitting in there, and this will be screwed into place to where it's stationary and doesn't move. And that's it, dude. All mounted up. Won't come out. So I'll go ahead and pull it apart so you guys can see what it is I did. If you look inside of there, those little nuts that it comes with, that's what I have holding it all together. So you take those two off, and then the gauge will pull out, and then also our little plate will pull off. And then there's that piece that it came with, and that's basically what holds it all together, dude. So, alright, so shout out to 1320 Headers, bro, for having two bungs already in the pipe, welded in. So I have my actual O2 sensor here, and then this extra bung right here, that is where we are gonna be running our wideband sensor. So remove this little protective cap that it came with in packaging and screw this thing in. And this is the harness that goes from the sensor to the back of our gauge. So we're gonna grab that. So we're plugged into our sensor right here, and I have the rest of the wiring running to that side of the car. I'm actually just gonna tuck the rest of this harness into that same rubber grommet right there, just running through our firewall. It's the same one that we have our rye wire harness running through. Be for me, please be for me, please be for me, please be for me. Damn it, dude. I mean, can you imagine getting something like this and absolutely none of its car parts? Son of a bitch. The harness that they provide is most certainly plenty long enough, you know what I'm saying? But anyhow, I just gotta route this now over through the dash to where our vent is at. Then what I'll do is all the excess, I'll just kind of bundle it up and zip tie it up in here where we can't see it. So the wiring for our sensor is now complete, and I left it a little bit long right here so that we can actually plug it into the gauge and then just kind of, you know, tuck these wires back inside of this little hole right here, because there is quite a bit of room back there. And I want it to where if I ever need to pull this apart, I can actually pull the whole thing out far enough to be able to turn it around and unplug the sensors and stuff without having to tug on wires and everything, you know what I mean? So I left myself some slack is what I'm saying. Now moving on to our main harness, like I said earlier, we're not going to need all of these wires. The only ones we need is this black and red. So what I'm going to do is kind of try to strip this little like wire protectant back a little bit and kind of bundle up all those other wires that we don't need a little bit away, so that whenever I am actually routing this to our fuse panel, I don't have to route 15 freaking wires I don't need, you know what I'm saying? So there it is. Now protruding out of the hole in the dash where our vent is going and we are hooking up our gauge will probably be about this section of the wiring, about to right here. And then from here back, I'll find somewhere inside the dash to kind of zip tie this to where it's not just going all crazy. The red wire we are going to run down to one of those little auxiliary plugs inside of our fuse box. And then the black wire, we just got to run to a ground. Alright, so everything is wired. All the wires are tucked up nice and clean, zip tied out of the way. And as you guys can see, I left plenty of extra running out of this little hole in the dash that actually goes to our gauge. I have our gauge mounted into the vent and it is plugged into the back, so this thing is all ready to go. So now if we did everything correctly, dude, I should be able to just turn the key on right now and then this thing will power up, because I did tie into power inside the fuse box, and it is power that only that's only hot whenever the ignition is on, so that I don't have to worry about the gauge being on at all times. So go ahead and turn the key on. And this guy, hell yeah, dude, powers right up. Well, I guess we must have done something right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing tucked up out of the way. I think I'm low on fuel right now, so I'm gonna top off the fuel cell and start it up, dude, and see what our air fuel ratio is. I know this thing is running rich as hell. Best part of the whole thing. Hell yeah. All right, here goes nothing, dude. Ignition, and we got power. Hell yeah, dude, this came out so freaking clean. I don't know, I love it. Ignition, fuel pump, launch. Well, there it is, dude, another thing off of our list, man. Now, I mentioned that I would bring up the intake towards the end of the video, and I do have the actual filter, the velocity stack, and my cousin did drop off the pipe just the other day. So basically, we almost have everything, but I am waiting for couplers and clamps. So I just ordered them from Amazon. They're supposed to be here today, but they're gonna be coming in tomorrow. So we're almost there for intake. I'm not gonna cross that off the list quite yet. That's gonna be a real easy install. You just throw it on. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope I explained that well enough for you guys to understand. It's actually a really easy install, bro. You just throw the sensor in, and then you find where you want to mount your gauge. You just have to route your wire from the sensor to the back of the gauge. That's all plug and play, dude. No wiring involved. It's just the main harness. All those extra wires that look intimidating, for most of you guys, you're not even gonna use that. You just need the red and the black. You run that to a 12 volt. That gets power when your ignition is on, because you don't want the sensor to be on 24/7. You want it to shut off whenever you turn your key off. Then the black wire, you run it to a ground, dude. And that's pretty much it. Like, all the rest of those wires, I believe, are if you actually have an AEM ECU, you can pin it into your ECU, and then your ECU can get a reading from your wideband. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, if you're running like a chipped ECU, Honda ECU or Hondata, that stuff isn't going to apply to you at all. So real easy install. It went smoothly. I really like how the mounting came out. It looks really clean. So anyhow, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please smash that like button if you did. And I'll see you guys on the next one, man, where we're going to be tackling this list a little bit more. Peace.